All right, so to continue. I made a conscious decision. 4 years, safety net, having this job that's paying me decent. The work is, I got no real complaints. But where am I gonna go from here? Am I gonna spend the next 10 years, 20, 30 years? Because I could have done that till I retired. I could have spent 30, 40 years in that job. And there were guys in the kitchen. I even dishwashing. They call it stewarding. There were guys. Well, they call it steward's helper. There were guys in this so-called stewarding department, which was dishwashing primarily, who had been there over 30 years. I'm not joking. They had been working that same job, same place, Toronto, till they were like in their late 60s or somewhere in their 60s. I'm not joking about that. I'm very serious. Anyway, I could have done that. Now, at one point, I had to be like, dude, I gotta break out of this. So what did I do? I took a risk. I quit the job. Without getting another job, I quit. I quit the job. I started applying. I got the job in the men's footwear place. Now, how did I get that job? I'll tell you something. I was following a lot of the self-development stuff, but I found Zig Ziglar, and he's probably one of the most useful guys. Okay, and he does sales specifically. If you want to get better at sales, everybody knows in the sales world that Zig Ziglar is like your intro, your first step into the sales world. Okay. By the way, he's advertising himself a lot. So it's not a big deal. He also claims that, anyways, that's not important. So I got into that. I started reading the book, started reading it over and over to the point that I started making notes, memorizing it. I went for my interview for that job, and it was a group interview. And I'll tell you honestly, they put me on the end. I was on the left end, and there was about 8 other people who were on my right. And what they did is they started the questioning with me. Now, I would answer an amazing answer. All that I learned from the content of that book. And you know what happened? The next person would copy me. The next person would copy me. By the end, because it had been a while, it was like telephone. Even though we could hear everything, it was like telephone. Because by the end, the copying was not really accurate at all. It was like telephone, playing telephone. So we did that. I got the job, right? It was just for me to put on dress clothes to work and to sell and to talk to people. That was the whole point. And towards the end of it, I met this girl who told me about salsa dancing, and she told me that she goes to salsa dancing, right? And I said, really? She said, yeah, I like doing it. I do it after work and stuff. Now I'll be honest. Initially, I was interested in the girl. She was very cute. Okay, she was cute, and there was another girl who maybe it was her makeup, but she looked kind of as cute as her. They actually look similar, and I was telling people, "Oh, you guys look similar." So this girl, I went to lunch with her, and we went to lunch break together. And the first girl I met. The other one, by the way, was driving a very nice BMW. I don't know if she was rich. She claimed her family's supposed to be rich or something. I don't know. But nothing ever worked out. She gave me rides a few times home, but it didn't really, just never turned into anything. And I'm glad it didn't. No offense, nothing like that intended. But anyways, this girl told me about salsa dancing. Now she's the one who tells me about salsa dancing, and I decided to do it one day. So I go to do it, and guess who I see? It's her. And then we're dancing together for a little while or whatever. I don't know. I saw her a couple of times after that too. She had already stopped working there, but I see her there or whatnot. I started going out to nightclubs, and I told you I started going out by myself. It wasn't long before I finally I finally got good and confident enough in that environment to pick up somebody who was working there as a cocktail waitress, and I picked her up, and then I spent the night with her. Well, she didn't sleep. I fell asleep for a couple hours. I don't know what she was doing. She was in the bathroom or something. But I was asleep for a couple. I fell asleep at like 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. Woke up in the morning, and the person who owned the house, who was her friend, was kicking us out. She was upset that we were sleeping together that night. So yeah, that happened. And I was supposed to go to Cuba. That happened. That was Thursday night into Friday morning, and I went to Cuba on Saturday. I think my flight was in the morning. I go to Cuba. I come back. I land a job, a full-time job, my first full-time job. doing valet for a company, night shifts, everything, all day, all the time doing valet. All right, I did it for like 5 months, after 5 or 6 months. In those 5 or 6 months, I after Cuba, I went to Dominican about a month and a half or 2 months after that. I took vacation again. I went to Dominican, and then at the end of the job, I decided to go to Colombia. Obviously, that influences you and whatnot. But the point is that when I came back, yeah, things were getting really difficult. Like I couldn't land any jobs. It's like people knew about me. I was getting treated badly. People were getting into my business, which had never happened before. And I've explained all that. But this is the reason why I was bringing this up. How did I get entry? Did I have a friend who I was cool with and I said, hey, bro, what's going on? Let's get into the criminal world. Or did I go hang out with people? Or was there an uncle teaching me or something like that? No, there was nobody teaching me. There was nothing like that going on. And it was 6 months after returning from Colombia that I robbed the bank. I robbed the bank. That was my entrance into the criminal world. That is what I had to do to get into the criminal world. Now, most people, and I hear this all the time, and I thought it was bullshit. They would be telling me, oh, this is ridiculous. Your first crime is robbing a bank. Why didn't you do something like shoplifting? Oh, why didn't you just, you could go steal a couple of Red Bulls from the convenience store. Why would you do that? That's so stupid. Why didn't you just get charged for stealing or something like that, or break-in or something? Why a bank robbery? I did a that was my entry, by the way. My entry into that shit was a bank robbery. Okay, my entry into that world was a bank robbery. So when you talk about this guy doesn't know anything about difficulty, go fuck yourself. My entry into the criminal world was a fucking bank robbery. Okay. You really should watch who you're talking to like that. You know what I mean? You should really watch who you're talking to like that. My entrance into here and my entrance into jail was on a bank robbery. My bail was on bank robbery. My house arrest was on bank robbery. The 4 visits, because I had 4 visits to jail. I went initially when I was charged with the crime. I went for 3 weeks or just over 3 weeks or around 3 weeks. And then I went back 3 more times for different stuff, and I went for a week at a time. Okay, so that's how much time I spent in jail. But this facility I spent a long ass fucking time. Anyways, the point is that that was my entry into that. Okay, and I had nobody with me. I didn't have anyone I was learning from. I didn't have anybody teaching me jack shit. I taught myself coding. I taught myself to do things, and nobody taught me to do anything. I taught myself to do things that were supposedly extraordinary that I had no idea about, but I taught myself how to do them. Nobody taught me how to do any of that. I taught myself everything. I taught myself everything to this point. I taught myself everything. Okay? And I remember, my entry into this world was a bank robbery. Okay? All right? Just to make you understand how serious that is. Now, at this point, I'm good to go legit. I got all the connect. I got everything I need. And yeah, I was, I look back and I remember an example. There was a guy, a British guy, who was in the underworld or in the gang world, in the underworld, whatever. I don't know what kind of crime it was, something like that. Now, he had gone to jail in England for, I think, a couple of years, 2, 3 years, 4 years. I don't know what it was. A couple of years, 2 or 3 years. He came out, moved to Spain, started a restaurant business and a bar. Very successful. Now he owns like 10 of them. Okay, he went legit and he became successful. If he could do it, I could do it too. I went for a bank robbery. I did my time, and I could be successful in the legitimate world too. I have no desire to be in the criminal world. I already did the top crime that you can do in the criminal world. The top crime is not murder. Okay, murder is on different levels, by the way. Some people murder children. They are green lights when it comes to jail. Okay, some people murder. Some people murder their girlfriend, their best friend, because he owed them money or he fucked them over. Murder 90% of the time is not a high profile crime at all. Murder only becomes a high profile crime, for example, if you murder a politician. If you murder somebody high profile. If you murder, like Nipsey Hussle got murdered. Okay, Nipsey Hussle was at a point where he was getting very popular. He got murdered. You know what I mean? That's kind of a bigger thing, right? But murder 95% of the time doesn't mean shit at all. Oh, I'm in for a murder. I stabbed some guy because we were drunk at a party. Murder doesn't murder. You gotta understand that's not how murder works. You don't just murder somebody maybe because he was trying to get with your girl, was getting with you, and now you murdered him, and you're the man in jail. That's the highest crime. It's not how it works, okay? And I've been told this, and I know this. The number one crime that you can commit, the most high-profile crime, the most high-status crime that gives you the most high status among any level of criminal. The number one crime is known as either a bank robbery, not even jewelry store. It's either a bank robbery or it's an armored van robbery, which is almost the same thing because armored vans, they go to different businesses and they go to banks and stuff to collect money. So if you rob an armored van or if you rob a bank, that is the highest level or highest profile crime that you can do. I started with the highest profile crime that I could do, which was a bank robbery, and which was real, okay? And I put up an actual document from it too. Yeah, all right. I've been told by the bank that it was called a TD Bank. They told me that I could never open an account in there again, and I was not allowed to ever go to their branch inside ever again. Well, that's fine with me. I don't really care. They were kind of set it in like a Saturday. Unfortunately, you cannot bank with us ever again. Okay, that's fine. Anyways, that's this whole news. But that's the point I wanted to make. We talk about, oh, what did he do? Dude, that was my ticket in, was a bank robbery. Imagine that, okay? And then everything I did in this dead time that I did, all this fucking dead time that I did, everything that I was learning, because I had no teacher and that was better for me. I do better without teacher. I had no teacher. I had no friend showing me anything. I had nobody teaching me jack shit. 100% of everything I learned in here was me. Yeah, I had that one hookup, right, for 2 months. And it was beneficial to me. Was it 2 months? It was about 2 months, maybe a month and a half. I think it was like a month and a half that I had a connection to him, and I learned things through him, and I learned things about myself further that I didn't know. I learned before I learned earlier. Now I learned from him, and it was useful. But everything that I developed was 100% by me. Everything I developed, the codes, everything I did was 100% developed by me. Now you may learn what respect is.